introduce JT again.
Yeah. Well, this is the wonderfulness of JT. He's a student I taught starting at grade 5. And then I worked with him in a couple summers. I trained a homeschool teacher who then worked with him. He homeschooled for 7th and 8th grade, went to high school, got B's and A's in high school, went on to college, graduated from college, and has recently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. He was a severe START 1.5. He could read 2 words, 2 or 3 with struggle. So it was really like a START 1 when I started with him. Okay. Now, JT, we talked about yesterday and we thought we would open with the coffee story. Now, this was, I started teaching JT, which we're going to talk about. I don't want to get into that yet. But I worked with him and he came to my school and I had a tutor that I worked with him and I'd work with him. And then in the summer when I come to Michigan, where I train teachers, I would work with JT an hour a day. And one day we were reading and I walked over to get some coffee. And so as we're doing this, I'm walking over like here to get my coffee. And when I was working with him, he was yawning about every 15 seconds, 20 seconds. So I went to get coffee. And as I got coffee, I noticed he wasn't yawning. So then I started walking next to him. As I got close to him, he started yawning. And when I moved away from him, he didn't. So Wendy DiMartini came and I said, Wendy, I want you to walk to JT and back. She did, and there was no change. And then I walked, and immediately he was yawning. And when I walked away, he stopped. And I became a conditioned response for exhaustion for JT. Anytime I was around him, he'd yawn. So
it's still,
go ahead.
I still even yawn through Zoom too. So just so everyone knows.
So you'll see it. Remember I said, this is struggle for these kids, okay? It's tough. All right, so I'm gonna get the board up. All right, everybody, you should have your lesson plan in front of you. Okay, JT, I'm going to give you control of the board. So I'm up here at this top line, everyone. I'm going to hit remote control. Jeez. Okay, now, in order to take control, you always have to click the board. If you don't click it, I won't see it. The same as if I take control, I have to click the board. So JT, Perfect. When you're ready, click the board and move the cursor so you can see you got control. Is that you? It looks like you got control.
That's me.
All right. Everyone, I'm at spelling the sound, so point to that in your lesson plan. You want to be following that. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Okay. T. T. Oh. Click the board again. I took it.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay. X. X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Z.
Z.
Ch. 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 Good. Qu.
Qu.
Oi.
Oi.
Cool.
Oi.
Ow.
Ow.
Oh.
Aw.
A.
A consonant. E. AY is your best bet.
Do you know any rest?
AI.
Good.
EI, EY, and EIGH.
Good job. O.
O consonant. E. OW is your best bet.
Show me the rest.
OA, OE.
All right. Suffixes. Which one means action?
Doing. Ing.
Good. Past tense.
Ert.
Good. Full.
Full.
And?
And why? Why?
And that says E. So just say E.
E.
All right. More. There's more and most. Point to more. Okay. So we're big. If we're big, if we're more big, we're big.
Bigger.
Then if we're most
Big
big,
S.
we're big S. Good job. All right. Hands up. I'm going to click on the board. Now this is for JT so that he doesn't fool with the board. See, with kids, they're going to fool with the board. So I have hands up, then put them somewhere. But I got to get their hands off the board so I can click it. All right, JT, do you see my cursor?
Yes.
Go ahead.
G. H. O. R. X. Y. Z. O. X. I. E. E. A. Aw, oo, ow, oi, oi.
Good. Suffixes, what's that say?
Ing.
Okay, is that a bully or not? Does it begin with a vowel?
It is. It begins with a vowel.
What's this?
A bully. S.
Okay, S.
Full. Lee. Less.
Is less a bully?
No.
No. Good. All right. K or S.
S. S. K. 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 K.
G or J?
J. J. G. G. G.
Great. Okay. I don't know why that's there. Okay. New concept. JT, I want to quick do the walkers with you.
Okay.
Now, walkers fit two vowels go walking, first does the talking. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
That's one of the only things taught in school. All right. That means the first one says its name. Okay. What's this say?
E. E. A. O. U.
Good job. Now I want you to notice that this walker happens to be yellow. That means it's going to have another sound. It's going to be a short walker. Okay. Yeah, we haven't taught that yet. We're just going to be doing this. So we got the walkers. Okay. Now I'm going to pull down some letters. Okay, now this is going to be a bit difficult with these words.
Steve, you're grabbing the pencil. You need to get off that and onto the pointer.
Okay.
Click the bar in the menu.
All right.
Right.
I just got to get this picture out of
Right.
the way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What would this say?
Feet.
Good.
Fate. Fate.
Would this normally be in the middle, JT?
No,
Why not?
because it's not your best bet.
And it has a what?
And it has a tail. Vote. Fute. Fute. Fute.
Good job. Okay, JT. I'm going to say the sound. You're going to have to take control of the board again.
Perfect.
And you're going to point. Now, these don't play fair. So when I give these during your lesson tomorrow, I'm going to say walkers. So you know that we're dealing with these. Because normally for spelling, I'm going to go I, a, aw, oo, but here I'm going to say walkers because most of the world doesn't play fair. Are you ready? Point to the two that say E.
E.
The walkers. There you go.
E. E.
Okay. A.
A.
O.
O.
U.
U.
Good. All right. Hands up. Hands up.
Yep.
Got. What's that?
O. A. E. E.
Good.
O. U.
Okay. All right, JT. We're going to add, you can recite the Big Dipper, Crescent Moon, and the walkers. We're going to add that, but you know what? Let's have you try the whole world. Let's see what you can do. So close your eyes.
All right. So I, a, ah, aw, oo, ow, oi, or, e, a, o, u, great state break, I,
Good.
a.
Whoop. Okay, you're right. E-A. Good.
I, and
Okay, let's go
E.
back to E-A. What's next? So last
E,
walker, JT.
yep. So last walker, say that again, sorry.
It's a last walker. So we did E-A. Then we have the three last walkers.
Then we have U,
Uh-huh.
U,
Uh-huh.
E, and sometimes I.
Well done. That was incredible. Okay. So we have taught the new concept. Now we're at spelling the syllables. Okay. So I want everyone to go to the manual to concept 13 to look at the syllables. Okay. And I'm going to start with row 1, review best. Now, review best means all these play fair. That means if JT does these, this is the Walker lesson, concept 13.
Hey, Steve, can you just show that book up to the camera really quick, please?
Sure.
Page 68.
Page 68, thank you.
So you're at the mouth part where it says review best, correct?
I'm at the syllable work, yeah. Remember that when you do the new concept, the syllable is how you practice, okay? Now, these are all going to play fair because most of the world doesn't play fair. That's why when I review in the morning, I will say walkers. And so he knows what to point to. I'll say yellows because these, for the most part, do not play fair. Okay, are you ready, JT?
Let's do it.
You take control of the board.
Okay.
Okay. All right, your first word is shiny.
Shiny.
You were right. Right. Now, JT, you have shiny. I want shiny.
Shiny. Shiny.
We
Show
can't see
me.
all of the line.
Show me.
Show me.
Uh-huh. Would somebody say something?
If you could pull the board up just a little bit, we can't quite see what he's doing.
So you got to pull the orange dot up a little bit, JT.
Okay,
Can you do
I
that?
got that.
And then put the letters at the top of that white space.
Perfect.
That
Thank
may
you.
be easier said than done.
There they go.
He's the man. He figures everything out. Keep in mind, anything that requires hands, he's the man. He can fix boats, sell boats, fix anything around the house. You know, he's just a guy. I
So
think we're doing show me.
show me, show me.
So, there you go. All right. Show moi. Whoops.
Ah, sorry. Here we go. Show moi.
Right. Show mao.
Show ma.
Show mao.
Show mao.
Mao. Now, folks, we're at concept tracking, not step tracking. This is called advanced phonemic awareness, what we're doing now.
Show mao.
Row now.
Grow now.
Usually you have to pick it. There you go.
Grow mao.
Okay, you have grow mao. I want row now.
Row now.
There, good. All right, two
Row now.
changes now. We're getting harder. Re-gnaw. What do I want?
Re-gnaw.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great job, JT. So as you can see, I'm reviewing everything he knows up to this point for spelling. Now I'm going to move to reading. Now reading, I can do the walkers because they play fair for reading. It's just for spelling, they're not your best bet. So JT, I'm going to make a word and then you read it. What's that?
Break.
Okay.
Crake.
Good.
Croak.
Cool.
Trote. Troke.
Good.
Trope.
Great.
Drope.
All right, we're going to challenge you a little more. I'm going to deviate from this.
Drope. Drope aw. Drawer. Drawer paw. Drawer. Oi shar.
Good job. Okay. All right. Let's go to spelling now. We're going to spell right here. Now, I recommend that you can do Google Documents, which is one of my students does, and they do their spelling and writing in Google Documents, and they simply take control of the board and show you their writing. But to start out, this is a great place to start. All right, JT, your first word is, I'm going to do the review list. It says best AI before LRN. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the review list. Destroy.
Destroy.
Good. Double space. Straw.
Straw.
Mhm.
Straw.
Broil.
Broil. Broil.
Shook. Pound.
Pound.
Employ.
Employ.
Uh-huh. Like you. Bookcase.
Bookcase.
Rooster.
Rooster.
Is OU your best bet for ooh?
Ooh, ooh. No.
Go ahead and change it to the best bet.
Rooster.
You want a little help?
Yes.
Look at me.
Roo.
Ooh, JD, look at me.
Ooh,
Ooh. There you go.
Rooster.
Good. Just so they see the word form area, it doesn't work as well for you as it does for a lot. Spell enough. And if you spell this, I'll like faint. Enough.
Enough.
There you go. Good. Now that's kind of where we're at. So he needs the phonics in order to spell, okay, with some sight words. Though now I have a new technique called OU Goofy Hyena words, JT. I'm going to take control, hands up. An OU Goofy Hyena word is enough, and you go E-O-U-G-H, OU
Enough.
Goofy Hyena. Now tough is the same way. That's an OU Goofy Hyena word. And rough is an OU Goofy Hyena word. And though is an OU Goofy Hyena, and so is through.
I love that. That's awesome.
Double R. So is thought, bought, brought. So we'll touch base because these are all words you should now be able to spell. All these are OU Goofy Hyena words.
Awesome.
Okay. Now we're going to reading. Now, since JT, we're saying is a multi-syllable kid, and I reviewed the walkers because he had a little trouble. But I'm going to go into Pep Baker, which is really working on multi-syllables. And we'll say we've read the first couple chapters. So Pep Baker's at school. He's walking home. He walks down the street, and suddenly these Halloween things attack him. So he looks at the house and thinks that, possibly there's something motorized that's causing this. Somebody's playing a trick on him. He goes home and suddenly CDs are thrown and books are thrown at him. So that's a problem. And he's wondering what's all that about. And then he goes into the cafe and tells his friends a bit about it. Okay. And then he decides to go to the house and find out if he can investigate if there's anything happening there that's causing these things to attack him. All right, JT, we're going to alternate reading the words. Go ahead and swing into that word. Take control. Actually, you can freedom. Go ahead.
And I cannot see the book
You
right
need
now.
you need your other screen up, Steve.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we're at chapter 4, vowel tag. And you see it now, JT?
Yep.
Go ahead and swing into these words and read them with the word cursor. So click the board.
Cool. Can you see my mouse?
I can, but I don't see you move it.
So I'm clicking, but maybe do you have to
let me
share with
get
the
the remote
screen?
control. I might not have done that again.
I can see it.
There you go. All right, go ahead and read it.
Okay. Happened.
Next,
Remote.
next,
Control.
cool, next,
Practical.
next,
Fashion.
cool, next.
Handiwork.
All right, let's go to the R family. You know most of these other words. Go ahead.
Mr.
Mhm.
sister,
Mm-hmm.
baker,
Good.
surprised,
Uh-huh.
several,
Mm-hmm.
brother,
Mm-hmm.
wondering.
All right. We know the rest of those. Let's do some phrasing. Okay, read those phrases.
He has a Georgetown University sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
Something unusual happened.
All right, go ahead.
Something unusual happened
Mm-hmm.
in the neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
last night.
Okay, good. We'll say you know the rest. Now, I'm having him do it. Normally, I would do it twice with him, and then I would say it and he'd find it. And something this long in this chapter, this is real important, folks. If you have a longer book and it's real clear you're only going to get halfway through the chapter, split the words in half. Do the first half of each element in the first phrases. Smaller books, you'll get through the whole book. But when you get the moonlight, sunlight, tells a mystery, they're long chapters. So you're not going to get through the whole chapter. So just do half of the words. They generally go in order. Okay? All right, JT, I'm going to work on phrasing with you. Okay?
Perfect.
So I'm going to give me control. I'm going to take control. Okay, hands up. Good. All right, so I'm going to swing. And as I swing, I'm going to have you read. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Set, go.
As Pep knocked on the door of the red brick house, he could hear a young girl yelling from within.
Echo drill, JT. I'm going to do it, then you do it. Trisha, there's a blonde guy out front. He has a Georgetown University sweatshirt. Do you want to talk to him? Your turn.
Trisha, there is a tall blonde guy out front. He has a Georgetown University sweatshirt. Do you want to talk to him?
Just a minute, Beth. Find out his name.
Just a minute, Beth. Find out his name.
All right, take over.
Beth opened the oak door. Hello, mister. How can I help you? Pep smiled at the young girl. I wonder if I could talk to your parents about something unusual that happened in the neighborhood last night. What's your name, mister? Asked Beth. I'm Pep Baker. My sister will be here. Oh, hi, sis. Oh, hi, sis. This is Pep Baker.
I like the way you shifted it and made it more natural. Okay, keep going.
Pep was surprised by attractive young women in front of him. She reminded him of someone, but he couldn't come up with the name.
Echo drill. Hi, said Pep.
Oh, yep, go ahead, sorry.
I said, Pep, I wonder if I could talk to you about something strange that happened at your house last night.
Hi, said Pep. I was wondering if I could talk to you about something strange that happened at your house last night.
Take over.
Beth left the hallway.
Click the board.
Beth left the hallway, but hid in her favorite eavesdropping hangout under the piano in the front room. Sure, my name is Trisha. How can I help you? Pep turned and pointed to the scarecrow. Last night, when I was walking by your house, the scarecrow over there pulled itself out of the ground and rammed into the fence. Several of the bats hanging from your tree attacked me, then fell to the sidewalk. I was wondering if you had these decorations on a remote control so that someone could play practical jokes with them.
Echo drill. Trisha smiled but had to control herself. So she did not burst out in laughter.
Trisha smiled, but had to control herself, so she didn't burst out in laughter.
So she
So she did not burst out in laughter. No, no, these are just old-fashioned homemade decorations, Trisha thought to herself. Either this is a practical joke by her friend Christy, or one of the one of the worst pickup lines she had ever heard. She glanced at the decorations and was sure she saw the handiwork of she saw the handiwork of the Smith brothers who lived up the street. They were often referred to as the Brothers Grimm.
All right, echo drill. I will be happy to set them back up, said Pep. Pep said with a grin.
I will be happy to set them back up, Pep said with a grin.
He wanted to be helpful, but he also wanted to see if someone had attached wires to them.
He wanted to be helpful, but he also wanted to see if someone had attached wires to them.
Great job, JT. All right, JT, we're going to do Beat the Clock.
Okay?
And we are going to go to, let's see. Let's go from Trisha thought. Do you see where my cursor is?
Yes.
To the end of the paragraph. Okay. Look it over while I get my.
Wait, can you show me one more time? Let's see. So Trisha thought. Am I?
Right here where it says Trisha.
Trisha's
Perfect.
smiled.
Yeah.
Trisha's thought.
You ready?
Yes.
And you don't have to use your cursor for this.
Okay.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Trisha thought to herself, either this is a practical joke by her friend Christy, or one of the worst pickup lines she had ever heard. She glanced at the decorations and was sure she saw the handiwork of the Smith brothers, who lived up the street. They were often referred to as the Brothers Grimm.
Excellent. 24 seconds. So that's the time to beat. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Good job. On your mark. Get set. Go.
Trisha thought to herself, either this is a practical joke by her friend Christy, or one of the worst pickup lines she had ever heard. She glanced at the decorations and was sure she saw the handiwork of the Smith brothers who lived up the street. They were often referred to as the Brothers Grimm.
21. Good job. I bet we can beat 20.
Let's do it.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Trisha thought to herself, either this is a practical joke or just her friend, Christy.
By her friend. Let's start over.
Okay.
Get set. Go.
Trisha thought to herself, either this is a practical joke by her friend Christy, or one of the worst pickup lines she had ever heard. She glanced at the decorations and was sure she saw the handiwork of the Smith brothers who lived up the street. They were often referred to as the Brothers Grimm.
Okay, 16. And you read that naturally with good pace. I think a faster pace would lose the proper reading of it. So we're going to stop there. I think you read that about as well and as fast as we want. Normally I do it 5 times. Okay. Now, once we're done with this, we would go to a sheet of paper and I'd have JT brainstorm 5 or 6 words and initially do a just statement. Somebody did something because. But in his case, I'd have somebody did something because. Okay, okay, but in his case, I'd want a nice summary. By the way, we start by writing summaries because that helps comprehension. So we do the writing. We're going to talk more about that next week. So we're going to close. And now it's almost 4, and we're going to open to questions. This is going to be in lieu of my question time, and we're just going to keep running to it. So those at 4 who would like to leave, that's up to you. JT's going to talk a bit about his story, which is in his book, Untether, but he also has another issue he addresses in the book. The first guy to do so, as far as I know. And then we'll have questions for him and Chris if she's around, his mom.
Yes, she will be here any minute. I'll send
Okay.
her a message here.
Okay, so JT, why don't you just take a minute about the book and then we'll tell you
Yeah.
a story.
So actually throughout my journey of some different challenges that I'll talk about here in a moment, but one of the things that I always have come around with is having goals to set, and I think that one of the goals that was actually Steve really pushed me to do and encouraged me to do was to write a book. And so I actually wrote a book, and it's called Untether. And it is a book that really describes a lot of my history, but it also describes a ton about my education and about my time with Steve and growing stronger in my reading and writing. And as I always make a joke is I'm the dyslexic kid who wrote a book. And so it's been a fun journey for me to learn. And so with that, the book's called Untether, and you can find it on Amazon, and it's also an Audible version. So it's on Audible as well. But if you want to just find out more information about different things that I'm working on, that is to try to encourage others and to have others share their story, is I have a podcast that's available, and it's called JT Jester Speaks, and that is available on YouTube, and then also all my social media accounts as well are JT Jester Speaks, and on Instagram I do different videos to really hope to encourage others to get out and share their story. So that's a little bit about that. But Steve, would you like me to go into a little bit of my story and our story together?
Yeah, just 1 minute. You're in the process of writing another book. Do you have a title for it?
I do not have a title, but book number 2 has started as of 2 weeks ago. And with that, I'm really excited for this venture and for the people I'm working with. Right. They're just really inspiring people that it'll be a really fun project for all of us to accomplish. And it's going to go along with the podcast in a way. It's going to incorporate others' stories and talk about how their story matters and how you have to get out there and tell your story and how it can encourage others and help you as well.
Now, JT, your book also, Untethered, deals with a physical condition that most people don't know about that you're going to talk about. What's that condition called?
Yeah. So I was born with what's called Vater syndrome, and it's a birth defect that affects different organs of your body and different parts. And so since birth on, I've had about 16 operations that, have been first and foremost has always been the medical. And so I was actually born without an esophagus. I was born with what they call an perforated anus. And so my medical journey has been from the top of my digestive system all the way to the bottom. And I've had, 18 inches of my colon removed. I've had 2 spinal cord surgeries. And so this had all sort of been, first and foremost. And then there came a point in my life where the educational path was the most important to me. And it was something I really wanted to focus on. Cool. And so my mom's actually here. And so I thought she could jump in and we could, you guys can fire away and start his questions, I'm sure. So.
Hi, Steve.
So
this is my mom, Chris.
Hi.
So we're going to start with a story where I came to Michigan to do a training. Okay. And the Gentys, who were a family that I got their kid reading, mom says, and it was in 6 weeks to 2 months, he went up 4 or 5 grade levels. Regardless, they were big fans of my program. So I came to Michigan, and now I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the Genty family, let me back up a little bit, throughout, my lower school years, like I said before, the medical was always a priority. And so with that, we, the education side of things we knew we struggled in reading and writing and struggled quite severely, but we didn't really dive into it at a full extent because of the medical stuff. And so as time went on, I was at a school that specialized, or not specialized, but it was a school that was a private school that that had challenges. Like we had basically it was a small school, and I had a few challenges there with keeping up with the rest of the students. And so as time went on, we were in 5th grade, and it had come to a point where I was so upset and discouraged about my reading and writing, and I was actually told we had what they call an IEP meeting. And so at the IEP meeting, my parents were there, and they basically, the teacher said, JT, from the administrative side of things, from the administrative side of the school, they said, unfortunately, JT, since he can't keep up with the rigorous program here and cannot read and write, JT will not be able to attend, the school in the fall.
And this is where they also said he'd be illiterate for life, and that we as a family would need to adjust and cope and find some mechanisms to cope with. So we had already been trying a lot of programs, and we decided that obviously we couldn't go back to that school, and it was coming in on the fall, and the Gunthy family we knew had this successful program for some of their kids, and that's where we met Steve. And as you can tell, we've had huge success within just 5 days. And at the end of, we met with Steve on a Monday, and that day, JT thought, what did you think?
So Steve, Steve came, and we had to go across town at that point where Steve was, and we met actually at a hotel there, and where we were able to work together. And that first interaction with Steve was such an encouragement for me. And the reason for the encouragement was because Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but being able to show me multi-syllable words, and for me to break those words down, even though I wasn't reading real words or fast or anything, but it gave me that encouragement that there is something to this, and that something is going to happen.
Yeah, there was 2 things. One is, as JT was like a start 1, he could read a couple words, struggled on a couple, saw them out, and I finished a sentence, and we'd reread the sentence. And we did that for a page and a half, and then you read 3 sentences all by yourself, like the first time. And then we went to the back side of the board because he's older, and actually the back side of the board is easier than the front in some respects, because the hold rejectable stays longer auditory than it. So I introduced him to a few endings, prefixes, and roots, and I had him do some syllable work. And when you were done, JT ran out, clicked his heels, and yelled.
And ran out into the parking lot, skipping and hopping and telling my mom and dad that I can read. And and at this point, we had tried many reading programs, from Linda Mood Bell to Hooked on Phonics to Discovery Read, and
Orton-Gillingham.
Countless programs, and we never had the success or the encouragement, the excitement. And I always refer back to the classical flip books, where it was you'd flip and you'd read the word and go from there. But Steve's program was so much more fun and exciting for me and different. And so for the first time, my parents had, I'm an only child. So for the first time, I was, in the backseat of the car coming home, trying to read
signs. And we had never had that before. So we thought, well, there must be something to it, because I actually didn't even want to go to this meeting, because we've tried so much. I was frustrated. I didn't want to set JT up for more failure. So in that we had all the success in just one day, we decided to continue it on. And by Friday, I had JT's teacher calling me from school asking, well, what are you guys up to now? And I answered her with, well, why? And she said, because as usual, when I give out the assignment, I go around and help kids, and then I get to JT, who needs the most help. And when I got to him today, he had already started it, and when I asked him how he did it, he said he read it. So then I told her what we were up to, but with that, we knew we had to leave the school anyways, even though he was having success. And so we moved to Denver that's where Steve was at that time, and we went to the Denver Academy where JT had the program every day in every class.
So that's where Steve and I and his team dove in and helped me, become more efficient in reading and writing. And
Steve, at that time of your career, JT, when you met Steve, how was your hope? I mean, you always have hope, but he was one of your most challenging?
Yeah, he was one of the most challenging, but I had absolutely no doubt for the guy because he had such a positive attitude. He worked so hard. I mean, the second I met JT and he walked in and I'd known a bit about his story and I started working with him, I thought, I'm going to get this kid reading come hell or high water. So there's no doubt he was going to read. Now, but here is the main issue. He wanted it. So he put in the work. He'd do the practice with you at night. He'd work there, okay? Because I have another student that's severer than JT that's not willing to put in that kind of work. And severer than JT is the first one. And so you've got to have the desire. And JT had it, so I had no doubt. How far we got, I wasn't sure, but I thought I'd get him to the level of adult with maybe 60 words a minute. As it was, we got him a little higher than the level of adult, reading about 90 words a minute. Okay, 90 to 100.
So when we were leaving Denver Academy at the end of that year, and it was May, and we were in a parking lot, basically, JT was crying, and we said, JT, you'll see these people. We're coming back to this school because you've had so much success. And he looked at us as parents and looked at Steve and
and I said, I'm not, upset about, seeing you, Steve, no offense, but I'm upset for the kids at home that can't read and write. And so at that time, Steve said that he would come and be really supportive and come and teach teachers in the Metro Detroit area and then throughout the rest of Michigan. And it's been a huge success there as well.
And you've trained how many in Michigan now, Steve?
Oh, well, we over 1,500, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this one training, we have up to 1,000 join this, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Chris and Jim and whoever set up this meeting with all the people who said JT wouldn't read. 110 people in a gym. And I did exactly what I did here with JT, except we were a little lower book called French Quarter Phantom. And he read to the group in a lesson. And then JT, what happened after that?
Afterwards, back to that IEP meeting, there was individuals in the community that, knew of my severe dyslexia and my challenges with school. And one individual in particular came up to the front of the room and said, basically said, I don't believe this. You rehearsed this, basically here, I don't believe it. And so Steve said, well, give me something you have and I'll show you. And so I think she pulled out a receipt, right? Didn't she pull out a receipt?
Uh-huh.
And you had me sit down and read through the receipt, and she was in awe and disbelief of how that
and tears. Now this was April, and she had just worked with JT in the fall up to Christmas and tried every technique and every little trick she thought she had up her sleeve, and so she really didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But anyway, because of that great successful night, the community at large has accepted the FAST program.
Great. So anyway, JT went on to be homeschooled. I worked with the homeschool teacher. She tied everything in with the program. He went on to high school and did real well. They actually changed some of their methodologies resulted, JT. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. No, I ended up at the school that said I couldn't go to it. We had a change of administration and basically said, we'd love to have you back. And so after my middle school years of being homeschooled in the FAST program, we went back to the school that I was not supposed to be able to attend. And I had great success, and they had great success with me and other students. And really, it proved to a lot of teachers there and administrative people that, they are a school that can really cater to any individual and any student. And so it was a huge success, and graduating from that school was a great accomplishment for myself.
And the school also had JT come in and talk to the teachers to tell them what would work. So he became quite an advocate for himself. So the books were downloaded, textbooks were downloaded, the computer would read, JT would speak to the computer, it would write for him. Teachers read tests to him, took pictures of smart boards and studied his iPad and such.
Yeah, so we used a lot of technology that definitely helped me through, those years, and then through college as well.
Okay. So you then graduated from college.
Yes, I went to High Point University and graduated from there in 2018, and then now I'm sort of on my own journey with doing some public speaking as well as book writing, and trying to help encourage others to share their story. And
So you have a foundation?
I do. And
What's
so
the purpose of it?
what's that?
What do you do in that foundation?
Yeah. So the purpose of the foundation is to help support, create fun and inviting events for children in children's hospitals. And that's where I spend a lot of time. And so that's something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I really, really love and want to push for, to have more fun events and success for those kids. But as well as a big portion of it is also dedicated for education and for dyslexia especially, and helping students out. And so that's new and just starting here, and so I'm very excited about the foundation and my projects, I'll call them.
So we're going to open for questions in just a minute, but the situation is basically, JT, as you look at this whole history of what's happened to you, you're not cynical. You're not bummed. You're not depressed about it. When you look at that, I mean, do you feel you were dealt a bad hand?
Well, I look at all the different life challenges, and I look at them as basically, faith is very important in my life, and so the Lord has put different challenges in my life, and I've realized that through every one of those challenges, something good has come out of it, and being able to persevere and push through those is so important. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'd like to do is just open it up for questions. Anything goes. Right, JT? We're open for
Fire
anything.
away.
I don't care what. So feel free to just say what you want. And Steve, if you can kind of direct those questions, that'd be great.
Yes.
April?
Hi, JT. First of all, I just want to say I think you are adorable, amazing, and super inspiring. I have loved listening to you so far. So my question was, I heard you went through all these other programs, and what was the difference? Like what
Yeah.
When you went in that first day, you said you come running out saying you could read. Like, what was the difference that you felt or saw with Steve?
Yeah, so I'd say a big difference would be the board, and having the physical board in your hand is obviously very nice, and it's being able to, since I'm such a visual learner too, I can visualize where things are on the board, and I think that applies to the everyday reading too, because I can understand what the different vowels, consonants are and stuff, everything together. But also, I think a big thing that was really helpful for me as I progressed was doing the speed readings and in doing the pressure release reading as well, where Steve would, or any of the teachers that I worked with would do pressure release. So, and then the back side of the board, back to, the beginning days, it was that encouragement that pushed me. I was like, I'm reading big words. I'm not stumbling on the word "the" anymore. So.
Yeah, footnote to that. I mentioned this
I got my magnets today, so I teach third grade, so that's starting day one.
Awesome.
Yeah, with the backside, again, I mentioned with older students, you have to decide. He was in 5th grade. But a kid who's reading low, who's that old, has a self-esteem is beating them up. And getting to the backside of the board, they just go, this is challenging. This is a big deal. And so with them, older kids, I start with the backside of the board as part of my first day lesson. Okay, great. And if you'll notice on the reading checklist, I put it up earlier, like the second thing, because somebody is, if they're in that checklist, reading's going ahead of spelling. And it's because of my work with JT that it's there. Yeah.
Hey JT, I just wanted to. There was somebody in the chat room that was asked me a question like why you pulled down the why you did as opposed to the why that was somewhere else on the Wismo board. And what I noticed is that you pulled it down from the board that you remember that Steve used with you in the program, which is a little bit different than the board that you were looking at. So you went to the place it was supposed to be.
You're right.
That one, as opposed to one that would have been just as good.
There was a few little things like that, but yes, but that Wismo board is awesome. It allows, to be able to do this, but you're right.
That's cool.
Somebody else?
Yes, I have a question. It's okay.
Sure.
JT, that you are truly inspiring, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm just curious, what did you study when you went to college?
Well, first off, thank you and everyone else in here for taking the class. And you will, as you already know, you'll touch so many lives. It's unbelievable and change the path for many students. So, but I went to school and I went for business administration and sales. And so coming out of school, I actually did go into a sales position for one of my passions, which is marine propulsion and boat sales. But so I had a focus in that, and I still love that, and I still think that eventually I'll go into some sort of sales. But right now I'm focusing on with some of these book projects right now. So
Wonderful.
thank
you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, like everybody else, and please excuse me, I'm a hot mess out here in South Carolina right now. But I'm very excited. I have been using Foundation, so I have a lot of familiarity with some of these concepts from Wilson, but I wanted a place where I could move these kids faster, and I think this is going to fit it. I'm also trying very much, vocally to advocate for my students to have the necessary assistive technology tools so that they can go on to get a high school diploma. When you started talking about the school saying you were so low, you weren't going to be able to go here, I work in the public school, and what I keep fighting for my kids is, no, we're not going self-contained. This baby, he can't read everything you put in front of him, but there are tools for that. What would you recommend? Like if I have elementary kids going into 5th grade, the absolute technology tools that I should be really advocating to make the most difference for them.
I think Read2Go was a software that I used that was really helpful. I have to pull out some of the names of the software and technology that I used, but Read2Go, and then of course with the dictation side of things, dragging dictation. But nowadays your iPhone does a lot of that even.
Exactly.
So.
And push FN twice on your Mac, and it's great. Yeah,
I use it every day.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey JT, somebody wants to know how long it took you to read once you started with Steve, and what you think would have happened if you hadn't gone to Denver Academy.
Yeah. So I think a little bit of a question for Steve too is, was when did I actually become able to read? And it was a journey, and every step of the way was pulling apart slowly and becoming more proficient in reading. And so it's still something that I work on, as we all know. It's something I have to continue working on. And then the Denver Academy part, I think that, for me, it was a huge success. And fortunately I had the ability to do that and move there with my mom. And it was really, a successful program for myself. And then on top of that, being able to come back to the Detroit area where is home was also a great experience, because at that point we had tutors trained and teachers trained, and I could dive in deeper to it, at home, because we didn't have that when we first were looking for, a tutor at the time.
So from moving there, so January to when we went home in May, he, and Steve, correct us if I'm wrong, but I believe he left at a 5th grade reading level,
Right.
and he entered at a below first grade.
Oh yeah, kindergarten. But he was he still was iffy on the words per minute. So he was, I think, on a good day 70, bad day 50 or 40. And keep in mind, this is the thing you need to know about these kids that are learning. They have bad days and everything falls apart. And you go like, what did I do? I failed with this kid. And it's just the way sometimes if they're tired, their processing falls apart.
Right.
Right.
Can I just ask a question, Steve?
Sure.
Firstly, JT, I just want to say it was really good to hear you read. I have a son with severe dyslexia who was told he would never read as well. So you're a bit of an inspiration. So my question is to Mum. How did you help JT with his self-esteem when he wasn't keeping up in class? And obviously for my son, that's become a huge anxiety issue about being embarrassed in his younger years. And that's kind of following on still in his, even though he can read now. How did you help JT with his self-esteem?
I do believe that we were blessed in the sense that he had other attributes that he excelled in with athletics and some sports. So we would always accentuate those and point those, the things that were coming to him, maybe not easy, but still coming to him, and that he did well in, and try to point out the fact that what he was failing in, that he could succeed as long as we all kept trying. And we really just tried. It wasn't like every single night we'd bring it all up. We tried not to, and we would try to just go outside and take the bike ride and be outside a little bit more. But it's because JT loved the outdoors. So we always would try to put him in a place that made him feel happy, and point out all the wonderful things about that.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. One thing that I always say is in my book, I talk a lot about adventures and stuff. And in my life, I have found that, of course, the school side of things does not go the way I want it to. And of course, the medical stuff doesn't go the way I want it to. But one thing I do know is that I have a love and passion for being outside, being in the outdoors. And that's skiing is my biggest passion. And so that's my moment that I forget about everything else and I can focus on something that I love. And then on top of that, I think one big thing for me that my mom and dad taught me is, communication. And they, with that means communicating with your teachers, communicating with your peers. And it can be, being able to inform my teachers that this is what I struggle in, this is what I'm going to need help in. And then with the peers, not being afraid, when you when you express what your challenges are, people feel more open to open up to you and tell what they're going through. And then that's where you can become supportive and helpful with them too.
And the name of his...
Congratulations. You actually read that passage at 200 words a minute. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
And the outdoors or the skiing that he spoke of, the name of the book is Untether. And the whole reason is untether yourself from those things that are holding you back.
Yeah, I caught that. Nice plug.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a couple of folks who wanted to say, hey, Chris, thank you very much for your advocacy on behalf of dyslexics everywhere, and thinking that you're a wonderful role model for many other moms who are struggling to figure out how to get their kids through
and
reading programs.
Thank you. And we do, let me tell you, today's a good day and things, he graduated, but I remember what it's like back in third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade. And it's hard. It's hard. So I would suggest to stay strong and continue on. So
And there's
we'll
another
do good.
question. There's another question for you, JT. Can you talk about the feelings? Because I mean, I think before you met Steve, from reading your book, you were talking about how you were discouraged in reading and maybe wasn't the best student when it came to getting those skill sets. And how did you get motivated? We have a lot of 5th and 6th graders who are reading at 2nd, 3rd, 1st grade level, and they're frustrated and kind of not as positive an outlook that you have now. I mean, where did that switch for you? How did that happen?
Yeah, where did the switch from being a non-reader and not encouraged
From
about
discouragement to like,
yeah,
I can see myself becoming a reader. I can see myself getting through this. Where did that come from?
I sort of talk about that first day of meeting Steve and being introduced to the backside of the board and what Steve talked about there. And that was a huge encouragement. And I think that really drove a lot of it. It was, the program was so different than any other program that I had tried, where those programs I'd go in and sit down and I'd be discouraged because it was very similar process to the last one. Where Steve's, I actually felt the encouragement, and then from there, for the fun side of reading and stuff, that's where I jumped into my boating magazines and sport magazines, and that's where I could have that encouragement to go out and read those kind of things because I found things I liked.
And at 10 years old, Steve's books were not Jack and Jill Went Up the Hill. They were things that actually a 10-year-old could relate to.
Yeah. A footnote on this was JT's attitude coming in was very different, Steve, than what we're used to seeing. He was positive and ready to go. And I'm not sure how he stayed that way after going through 6 programs, but did not have a chip on his shoulder. And that's why as soon as I saw him, I said, by God. Well, I immediately thought, I wrote this program for him. That's what I thought. This is the guy I wrote it for. And then he will read. That's a non-issue. But also JT's intra and interpersonal skills. Remember we talked about the multiple intelligences, the 9 intelligences. And his intra and interpersonal skills are so highly developed, way beyond mine. I mentioned that to Chris early on. He's way out there in those skills, as you can see. And as a result of that, he was able, with those intelligences, to put everything in perspective. And it was truly amazing that he did it. And you can see how it's manifested itself later on. But yeah, he wasn't the kind of guy that is discouraged. We were on board right away, I think, yeah.
One thing with FAST too than other programs we experienced was it's fast. It's a fast program. You'll see success soon, which is encouraging for the whole family, but especially the child.
Yeah. Just for a footnote for those people, FAST is what this is called in Michigan. Nancy,
sorry.
That's all right. No, I don't expect that to change. Everyone in Michigan calls it FAST. That's what I used to call it, but I had a little discrepancy with an organization. And nationwide, it's Tattum Reading. So you'll find everything in Tattum Reading, but a lot of, in Michigan, it's still referred to as FAST. And I would like to still do it that way because it's a FAST program. Technically, it means Foundations of Analysis, Synthesis, and Translation. Boring. So we would just say it means it moves fast, which it does. It moves really fast. Other questions? If not,
I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
JT, do you ever go back and speak to 5th graders, or back to the time when you had a tough time with reading? Do you ever go back and speak to those kids and show them what can happen?
Yes, no, I do. Definitely, one thing is with Steve's program, when he is in town, I, make it a point to be able to be there, and typically there can be other kids there too, which is awesome. But I also actually just recently, I guess in January, I went into my actual 5th grade classroom, and same teacher. and met with the students there. And one student in particular, gave me, well, he actually used my book as a book report. And so from there, I got to talk about, my educational path with all the kids, and, the different things that worked for me and the different things that didn't. So it was a very cool experience. And I do enjoy doing that and continue to.
He's been speaking at hospitals and schools for motivational, so elementary and such.
It shows in how you speak, JT. Can you talk a little bit about how much you used accommodations to get through upper high school and college? And did you use it a lot? Did you spend more time reading, or how did you mix the two up? Because you read well, but your fluency isn't as high as somebody without dyslexia. So how have you blended the two?
Yeah. So technology, I've fortunately had pretty much every textbook has been on audible or recorded version. And so I used my resources to their full extent and full ability, from test taking, in a quiet room with extended time that I needed, to having a reader in the room with me who could read the tests. And then, the technology side of things, I think the biggest thing was me using teachers' notes, because, when you're sitting in a classroom and you hear a teacher present, a class, for me, I can't take the notes nearly quick enough. And then while I'm taking those notes, I forget half the things that have been said already. So for me, those either peer notes, which I used in college a lot, or the professor's notes, was extremely helpful.
People are asking how they can reach out to you. Is it okay to reach out to you on Facebook or Instagram? And
of course,
can their kids mostly? They're talking about their teens.
Yeah, Instagram is probably the best social media.
What's your handle?
Handle is JT Jester Speaks. JT Jester Speaks, and Instagram is the best to reach out. And then also my YouTube podcast. I reply to all comments on there. But directly through Instagram is the best way.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Not? Well, okay. Thank you, JT.
Thank you.
Thank
you, everyone, for taking this class. Like I said before, it will impact so many lives, and just be encouraged for the success you're going to bring them. It's really amazing. And so thank you for doing this.
Thank you, JT.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And say hi to your grandparents.
Will do.
Bye.
Thank you, JT.
Thank you.
A lot of thank you showing up in the chat room. So thank you, JT and Chris. Very nice to see you. Thanks for being here today and for supporting all the kids who are coming after you. It's you pay it forward in a way that's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.